Well guys, here it is. This is the G.I Joe classified Vamp with Clutch, our character right here. I'm really excited to get this in. Actually got it in yesterday, and the wife, of course, was thrilled. But without further ado, guys, I'm not going to bore you too much. This is not going to be a crazy unboxing video. I just want to actually dig into this, get it out, and discuss this a little bit further. Alright, this is everything outside the box. Pretty much how the Vamp assembled. All the goodies came in this box. Who cares? Let's actually real quick put this aside. I want to focus, do a quick talk about Clutch right here. It's your standard, at this point, G.I Joe classified figure. Look like he's all pinless. Love it. He comes with a helmet that you could swap on for this neat looking, I'll call it like Halo helmet. Give him that real badass look. He also comes with his side pistol, which I will put on right here, as well as his handy dandy wrench, which I feel like this goes somewhere on his person, but I just can't figure out where. So he has that, as well as his axe, his fire extinguisher when he's putting out the fire because he's so hot, and his shotgun. But I'm trying to figure out, besides the pistol, where, if I swore this stuff actually went on his person, but I guess not. Pretty cool looking tattoo on his arm. I don't know if that's like a common thing, if this is more like their first time doing a tattoo on a G.I Joe classified figure. Nonetheless, he looks really, really cool. All these accessories will be great for photos. I mean, like I said, the wrench, you can have him popping open the hood, working on this motor. Alright everyone, here it is. This is the G.I Joe classified Vamp. First quick impressions I like to give everyone. It's just literally first time kind of looking it over. It's got really good weight to it. It's got nice, really good rubber tires, good paint application. Overall, I'm just digging how this thing looks. You know, speaking of looks, I've been trying to figure out like what they're trying to, like, where the design concept came from. And I'm pretty sure, comment below, okay, that this is actually based off a Lamborghini, which I know is like hysterical, but I'm pretty sure this is based off of the Lamborghini. I think it's the LM002, mostly judging by the headlights on this thing. It definitely has the vibes. Matter of fact, I did some quick research just now, and I came across a picture of a Lamborghini LM002 where they like mounted a machine gun on the back of it for some odd reason, and it kind of looks a lot like it. And I think that's kind of funny because I never would have thought in a million years when you think like a military Jeep essentially that has anything to do with a Lamborghini. But comment below. I'm pretty sure that is kind of where this design style is coming from. So moving right along, I want to dive into what the features are on this Jeep, or if you want to like the articulation, although it's not a figure, but essentially doors opening, you know, what pivots, what moves, the overall feel of this actual Jeep. So I could tell you real quick, you know, obviously there's no doors to open, but actually this window does fold down just like a Jeep would, especially from a war era Jeep, and it clips right back in. The hood does prop open once again, so clutch can go ahead and work on this engine. Now most of you probably don't care, but ironically this is a very big looking engine. It's clearly a dual overhead cam, where traditionally something like a Jeep would have like an older pushrod style engine, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I'm not so sure anyone really cares the actual type of motor this thing's supposed to be mimicking. Moving right along, if I haven't mentioned already, it has rubber tires, really good rubber tires actually. I should mail them over to NECA, so when they say they're going to give you rubber tires on their TMNT Turtle van, I'll have to actually give you rubber tires, because I'm telling you, if you have that van, you know what I'm talking about, those are not rubber tires. These indeed are definitely rubber tires. The machine gun does go left and right, up and down. It's not all that well secured. You kind of got to like really put it back on there. Some of the accessories you just put on yourself. It's pretty easy. It's almost like Legos, to be honest with you. Moving on to the interior, clutch over here has a lot of great stickers showing you the speedometer, typical gauge, as well as a shift lever to put it in drive, although unlike the Histank, from what I could tell, this one does not move, and I do not want to mess around and find out. Now, I did mention about the tires, but one thing that we need to dive into, which I was a little disappointed about, was the fact that the wheels don't turn. Now, granted, this thing in many ways, if you were a child that grew up with like a vintage Vamp, excuse me, you know, that tires didn't turn either, so maybe this gives it a certain nostalgic feel. I did not grow up with that vehicle. I'm more interested on the G.I Joe Classified series. I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up more with like what you see behind me here as far as vehicles are concerned, but still pretty cool. It does have working quote-unquote suspension. If I can, I'll flash up one of my RC crawlers that has like really oil-filled shock suspension with like an actual spring, so that gives it really crazy awesome articulation. We'll be diving into price. I was hoping when they said it has suspension that it'd be a little bit more than like this. It's cool nonetheless, but from my perspective, I think if you want to view this as a toy, which I know it's what it is, I think this is acceptable. But if you want to say, hey, you know, this is really targeted towards adult collectors, I was really hoping for some more articulation, more suspension travel. And when you actually really dive into the actual, let's call it Jeep itself, like the suspension is just really like this kind of like very basic, not even like spring, but like if I could show it to you, I will, where the piece just kind of goes up like literally an inch or two to give it some sort of suspension travel, which would be, I think, very acceptable as a toy. But I really don't look at this as a toy. I think most people ordering this, it's really for adult collectors. I'm sure there's adult collectors giving it, handing over to the kid to play with, which makes a lot of sense. But I do wish it really had more, maybe not to the level of a remote control crawler. Those things can get pretty expensive, but maybe something a little more articulated, a little more advanced than what they're giving us here from a suspension standpoint. So we kind of dived into what this thing could do, the features, the capabilities of it. I did forget that it has a tow hitch here, but I think most of you already knew that, so I'll kind of throw that in real quick. Next, I want to talk price, because now that we kind of went over what you're getting for your money. Obviously, you're getting a 12 scale Vamp vehicle itself with rubber tires, suspension, technically, a 12 scale figure being clutch, which we kind of briefly went over earlier in the video. Let's talk price for a second. So this thing was just under $100. After taxes, it's going to cost us all over $100. Shipping should have been free for everyone, regardless if you were a Hasbro Pulse member or not, because I think I don't know if it's over $75, they give you free shipping anyway. But for the money, I think, let's put it this way, right? From their perspective, they can't say that there wasn't a good price point. It sold out. So it sold out, and you know, I bought one. One of the reasons why I jumped on it pretty quickly is because they did the smart thing and made it a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So even if you were thinking maybe they'll make a ton of these and maybe it'll hit some sort of clearance at some point, it's not going to. And ironically, this is a vehicle that I think many people are army building. I think most people that ordered this probably ordered more than one. Which, by the way, if you're watching it, I'm curious though. I've only ordered one. I want to know if you ordered more than one. I feel like most people probably order a minimum of two. If you're into this, this is obviously, this series really is geared towards adult collectors, so we have more of a disposable income. I don't think parents will run out there and grab their kid a $100 toy Jeep, maybe for a birthday or Christmas, but this is more for adult collectors. So back to the price point, I think $100 is fair, but if you want to take in consideration inflation, not that I really want to talk about inflation on a toy channel, but it's hard not to because it has affected toy collecting in general. When you take into account inflation and how I think most of us are adjusting for that, like we're kind of getting to the point where like it's a little more than it should be, but we all know that everything's increasing in cost. I think it's a dollar figure that we're getting accustomed to. We basically spend $100 on a 12 scale vehicle with a figure. It's not going to really stop us from doing it. So I think the price is overall fair. I mean, you can easily argue that it's really it should be like a $70 item, you know, minus 25 for the figure, bring it down to $50, but you can easily argue with the cost of everything, inflation, and the fact that a business the size of Hasbro is not trying to lose a certain margin of profit, knowing that they can get what they can get, they're going to do it, especially in a time where, you know, we're starting to really see a bump up in price. You know, I bring this up with all my videos, but even NECA is under a lot of scrutiny for their dioramas because they're asking $300 for basically what people are saying a shoebox. So you could get 3 of these for a price of one of those. So from a price standpoint, I really think it's a fair price, but once again, you know, one of the purposes of my videos is I'm always trying to interact with everyone. So tell me below, you know, would you even purchase more if it was less? Would you even pay more? I mean, I think some people probably even paid more for this, to be honest with you. I bet they could have charged you $1.25 and people really would have hesitated. They would have said $100 for this, $25 for the figure, and that's that. So really, I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. So next up, this is sort of some fun stuff I want to do with you guys. I want to show you from a size standpoint, like how this compares to some vintage toys, some modern toys, and obviously I definitely get the Histank out here because that's really what this thing's going against, and which makes me say that they need to get this Dragonfly out here ASAP, because this thing, once you see, is obviously not going to compete with something of the nature of a Histank. So without further ado, let's put this against some other vehicles. First up is this old school, like 1990s something Jurassic World Jeep that they used to use to chase down the dinosaurs in the movie. This is something I had as a child. I held on to. It's really, really cool. Kind of give you guys a scale of like a vintage vehicle that we all might have grew up with compared to this G.I Joe classified, which is clearly a much bigger 6-inch scale vehicle against something of this nature. So I thought this was fun, and also it gives me very similar vibes, right, to the actual Vamp here. I mean, if you look at, you know, the headlights, right, like it's just similar vibes to this, and I thought that was a lot of fun to kind of compare. And when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute, this looks a lot like it, so I thought that was cool. But that's it compared to the Lost World, let's call it Jeep. Let's move on to the next vehicle for size comparison. Now we have up the vintage Histank, which I thought would be fun since we're going to obviously drag out here the classified series Histank, which is clearly a lot bigger than this. But once again, put in perspective, because if you're watching this, the odds are you probably have a vintage Histank or even one of the more modern molds that they remade this thing 10 billion different times. So this thing's pretty cool. Size comparison, just so you guys see. One thing I didn't mention, and now I'm looking at it back here with the vintage Histank, you have a stand for some figures. I wish they did something back here so you could actually have a guy manning the machine gun, because to me a vehicle is all about carrying people. It helps you do something with the figures. And quick fun fact about me, one of the reasons why I got suckered into this stupid G.I Joe classified series is because I was trying to stay away from it, but when they introduced the Histank, I'm a sucker for vehicles, and I was like, man, that thing's cool. And at the time, I didn't even know what HasLab was, so that was like a whole experience for me. I should probably do a whole video on like my HasLab experience, but I thought that was really cool. So it kind of got me suckered into the G.I Joe Classified line. I'm not all in, I don't need every figure, but usually I'm a vehicles, I get suckered into that stuff. I love this thing. This thing's really, really cool. So that was kind of it. Just wanted to kind of explain to you guys how I actually got suckered into this. But this is the vintage Histank in comparison to the Vamp. And just to give you guys a little bit of show comparison, you get an idea how big this thing is. Plus, it's just kind of fun to see how how they compare in size to one another. So let's move on to the next vehicle. And since I'd mentioned the Turtle van earlier, I figured it'd be fun to show you guys the NECA TMNT van. Turtles kind of got me back into collecting, and then I ventured off to G.I Joe, as I mentioned, with the HasLab, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you guys a comparison between the two here. Once again, if you have this van, you'll know what I mean by these quote-unquote rubber tires. These are rubber tires. So I thought it'd be fun so you guys can kind of see a sizing, because these are both basically 12 scale vehicles. So this really is a compact sort of Jeep versus this Turtle van is really meant to hold a bit of a crew of people. So it's funny to see, because you think van, you think something like a Jeep, this thing would be like, it's not, it's actually a lot smaller. But kind of fun, just so I could show you guys once again from a size comparison what this thing is like next to the NECA TMNT tuned Turtle van. That is a mouthful, but that is technically the full name. So let's actually dive right into next. You know what's coming next, you know. Well, you guys knew this size comparison was coming, because this is a very obvious comparison, because these are both the same G.I Joe Classified series vehicle. Obviously this, for most of us, will probably be put together in some sort of scene with the Dragonfly whenever that comes in. But as you can see here, the Histank definitely makes this Vamp look like a little dwarf. It just dwarfs it so bad. This Histank is, while it's actually kind of a small tank per se, technically speaking, it definitely powers over this Vamp for sure. So G.I Joe needs to get this Dragonfly here ASAP if they want to have a fighting chance against Cobra here. But this is really fun. I'm excited. I don't know if I'm going to be in frame for you guys or not here, but I'll try to be, so you can really see. I think I will be, the size difference between these two mamma jammas of the HasLab Histank with the Vamp. And this is going to be cool, because I think this is going to be a setup for most people. Now once again with the HasLab, man, you had lights. Put on my lights real quick. Yeah, I wish these lights lit up, but right, for $100. But this thing is awesome for the money. You know, I did last year, this won the 2023 Vehicle of the Year. It's just a no-brainer. I really had no complaints with it, so it really is that sweet spot. When I mentioned like this is like a toy, and this is technically a toy, this thing really kind of is a sweet spot between the two. You know, it's still clearly a toy, but the rubber treads on this, the way it moves, the lights, really takes it. Even the throttle to move it goes up and will actually move up and down. Unlike this one stays still. But this thing is just so freaking cool. Let me turn off the lights though. There we go. So that's kind of it. I wanted to show you guys the size comparison. This is the G.I Joe Classified Vamp. I'm sure so many of you guys scooped this up. I want to know what you think below. You know, are you, how many did you pick these? How many did you get of these? I feel like a lot of you guys probably got more than one, so I'm really curious to know. If you came this far, I feel like this video actually wasn't that bad and not that dreadful to watch, I'd assume. I'm trying my best to up my quality of my content. There's a lot of phenomenal YouTubers out there that make some amazing videos, so I'm just trying to keep this short and fun. But what I'm trying to get at here is smash that like button if you made it this far, if indeed you like the video. I have so many more videos coming with G.I Joe Classified, with TMNT, so many other more, even Hot Toys. I'm going to do my very first Hot Toys review coming up. So please, you guys, if you wanted to consider subscribing, I'd greatly appreciate it. Make sure you comment below. I do try to respond. I get really much involved and like communicating with everybody, so make sure you comment below your thoughts on this particular vehicle. And even if you want to guess what the next HasLab G.I Joe Classified, I'm going to assume it's going to be a classified, yeah, obviously it's classified, G.I Joe Classified vehicle is going to be, I'll probably make a video on that. But I would love to know what you guys think. But I think I chewed your ear off enough, guys. I'll see you guys next video. I'm out. Peace.